Before winning fans as young Sheldons, Mima Tucker, Annie Potts was a Kentucky girl. The blueprint of Mima, how Annie Potts' Kentucky roots forged an icon. Before the quantum physics and the Texas drawl of young Sheldon, Annie Potts was simply a girl from Nashville, Tennessee, with a future written in the rolling hills of Kentucky. The journey from the bluegrass state to the CBS sitcom throne was not a detour, but the essential forging of a creative spirit that would one day define television's most beloved grandmother. Austin, TX. In the sprawling narrative of Hollywood, origin stories are often mythologized, polished to a high sheen for press junkets and talk show anecdotes. But sometimes, the truth of an artist's beginnings is so fundamentally woven into their craft that it requires no embellishment. The story of Annie Potts, the formidable talent behind young Sheldon's Connie, Mima Tucker, is one such tale. Long before she was slinging beers and life lessons to a genius grandson, Potts was a Kentucky girl, and that specific, unshakable identity is the hidden blueprint for every character she has ever brought to life. To understand Mima, a character who has stolen countless scenes and become a feminist icon in her own right, one must first travel back to a pre-interstate America, to the small-town crucible where Potts' creativity was first ignited. Forging resilience. Born in Nashville in 1952, Potts' family soon moved to Franklin, Kentucky, a town where the pace was set by the seasons and the community was a tightly knit tapestry of familiar faces. This was not the backdrop for a flight of fancy, but rather a foundation of pragmatism and heart. In Franklin, creativity wasn't a specialized career path. It was a natural response to life. It was in the storytelling on front porches, the improvisation required for a Saturday night's entertainment, and the quiet observation of human eccentricity that small towns nurture so well. Potts attended Franklin Simpson High School, where she was a self-described theater nerd and a drum majorette. These were not just extracurricular activities, they were the first stages for a burgeoning performer. The local community, with its distinct characters and unfiltered emotions, provided her with a masterclass in humanity. The sharp-witted matriarch, the sly charmer, the long-suffering neighbor. These were not tropes from a screenplay, but people she knew. She absorbed the rhythm of their speech, the subtlety of their humor, and the quiet strength that defined so many of the women around her. This Kentucky upbringing instilled in her a quality that would become her professional trademark, a grounded, unflinching authenticity. There is a steeliness in Mima Tucker, a refusal to be cowed by a precocious child or the challenges of single-handedly running a household. That steel wasn't forged in a Hollywood acting studio. It was tempered in the resilient spirit of a Kentucky woman who knows how to get things done. A forged path. Potts' journey out of Kentucky led her to Stevens College in Missouri, and then to a fledgling career in New York. But her path was not a smooth ascent. In 1972, a catastrophic car accident in Los Angeles left her with multiple broken bones and a long, painful recovery. Her then-husband was left a quadriplegic. This period was a crucible of a different kind, a brutal confrontation with tragedy that could have ended a less determined spirit's dreams. Yet, the resilience learned in Kentucky proved its worth. During her recovery, confined and facing an uncertain future, she found solace and purpose in her craft. She began taking acting classes again, using the art form as both rehabilitation and rebellion against her circumstances. This era birthed a profound depth in her work. The Annie Potts that emerged was not just a talented actress, but one who understood loss, struggle, and the hard-won nature of joy. When we see Mima's occasional moments of vulnerability, her fears for Mary, her loneliness, her fierce protectiveness, we are seeing the echoes of a woman who knows what it means to fight for her happiness. The Kentucky heart in a Hollywood world. Before Mima, before Ghostbusters' sassy secretary Janine Melnitz, before designing women's sweet-natured Mary Jo Shively, there was Iona from the 1988 film Pretty in Pink. Iona, the quirky, ever-evolving record store owner and surrogate older sister to Molly Ringwald's Andy, is perhaps the most direct precursor to Mima. She was eccentric, fiercely loyal, and operated by her own unique moral code. She was, in essence, a Kentucky free spirit transplanted to a John Hughes universe. Potts has always had an unparalleled ability to infuse her characters with a specific, relatable humanity. Whether it was the neurotic energy of Janine or the grounded sweetness of Mary Jo, there was always a core of truth, a sense that this was a real person with a history and a heart. This is the Kentucky in her. It's the understanding that comedy is not about punchlines, but about character, that a well-timed, dry retort, delivered with a knowing glance, can land with more impact than a scripted zinger. On the set of Young Sheldon, this lifetime of honed craft comes to a brilliant peak. Mima Tucker could have easily been a one-dimensional, sassy granny archetype. In Potts' hands, she is a complex, fully realized woman. She's a business owner, a confidant, a rule breaker, and the only person in the Cooper household who can match Sheldon's intellect, not with book smarts, but with street-smart cunning and emotional intelligence. The creative alchemy between Potts and the writers is palpable. They have given her a character with agency and edge, and she has repaid them with a performance that is all texture and soul. The way she pours a drink, her deadpan delivery of a line like, "Your mother's in the backyard praying for a meteor," or the gentle way she guides Missy through the minefield of adolescence, it all feels lived in. It feels real. It feels, in a word, like Kentucky. The legacy of a Kentucky girl. The narrative of Annie Potts is a testament to the idea that our origins are not something to be outgrown, but the very raw materials of our genius. The wit, the warmth, the resilience, and the unwavering authenticity that define Mima Tucker were not created in a writer's room. They were cultivated in the heart of a young girl in Franklin, Kentucky, who watched, learned, and stored away the nuances of a life well lived. In an industry often obsessed with the new and the next, Potts' enduring career is a masterclass in the power of authenticity. She didn't have to change who she was to fit into Hollywood. She changed Hollywood by bringing who she was to every role. She proved that a Kentucky girl's perspective, with its blend of sharp humor, deep compassion, and iron-clad strength, is not just valuable, but essential. So, the next time you watch Mima outsmart her grandson, console her granddaughter, or simply enjoy a quiet moment on her porch, remember you're not just watching a character. You're witnessing the creative spirit of a Kentucky girl, all grown up, and finally, winning the fan she was always destined to have. The path from Franklin to CBS was not a straight line, but every twist, every setback, and every triumph along the way was necessary to build the icon we know and love today.